Yes, yes, yes. Oh, welcome back. Welcome back to Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long the second. Don't forget the 2. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are also live on todayscalifornia.com. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting the show. To everyone who has been commenting in, you can comment live and we will put you right through. And you can also be a part of the show. We'll pull your comments right up. Shout out to Rosanna Joan. Says something hashtag sanction Pakistan. Not sure about what that means, but shout out to Rosanna for tuning in. So my name is Barry Long the second. Don't forget the 2. And we are live, like I said. Thank you to Craig Campbell from CoachellaValley.com. Now I want to go ahead and first of all, I want to say rest in peace to Bobby Bowden. He is the longtime coach for Florida State. He coached for over 43 years, longer than I've been alive. I'm only 35. Do I look 35? But yeah, he was the coach for 43 years. He's a 2-time national champion, 12-time ACC champion. He passed away, sadly. We heard about his having a terminal illness recently, but he had just passed away, and we just want to say our condolences out to the Bowden family and to the Florida State alumni family. Now, we're also going to talk today. We're going to talk a lot about different stuff in the NFL. We have a lot of NFL news. We have some breaking basketball news in the NBA we're going to talk about. We got some comments, though, we want to shout out real quick. Carol Matt Binkley, she said, shout out, showing love from California. We got Raciel Messias, shout out to him, Norwalk, California. Marisol Cineros, hi, everyone. You can say hi to me, too, as well. Carol Mott Binkley, she says, greetings from Sacramento. She's up in Sacktown, where you can get sat down. Yeah, but we're going to talk about some NFL. I'm going to break down the AFC East today. We are going to talk about some USA. We got USA gold out of the men's, gold out of the women's. So without further ado, let's just jump right into some of this NFL news that we have going on today. Now, the first thing that happened today was that we saw as a matter of fact, let's start with the Olympics. Now, as you can see, America, the great, we got 39 gold medals to China's 38. We ended up getting 113 medals overall to only 88 by China. So America, I mean, we've been doing major things in the Olympics. The Olympics is finally over, and we had a lot of champions from a lot of different sports, a lot of weird sports out there that are, now considered Olympic sports like skateboarding, but we had stuff like fencing, what was that? What's that one where they curling, where they basically just shave ice? There's a lot of different Olympic athletes out there, but shout out to America for coming through and winning the most. But let's talk about the USA. Team USA came out, and we lost. We lost to Nigeria. We lost to Australia in the qualifying rounds in the Olympic exhibitions. And it gave us cause to pause. And so we looked at it and we said, hey, maybe these guys are in Vegas. Maybe they're just worried about going to see Chris Angel tonight or Cirque du Soleil, or they're worried about gambling and their mind's not really focused on Team USA basketball. And then we saw them lose in the opening round of France. And then we came back and we started whooping some tail. We beat Iran. We beat Czechoslovakia. We came out and we avenged our loss to Australia and beat them. And we came out and faced the gold in the gold medal game. We faced France, and we came out with a strong performance by Kevin Durant. He led the way with 29 points. Jason Tatum had 19 points. Draymond Green and KD were basically, the two best players that we had along with Jason Tatum. They really stepped up. Damian Lillard contributed a lot. You had Devin Booker contributed a lot. You had a lot of these guys that didn't even get to play. Like Chris Middleton barely got to play. You had other guys on the bench, like JaVale McGee, who was added to the team late, who barely got to play. But really, it was all about KD. He really stepped up, and he really made it look like, this is his team. And he was very critical of all the people that were critical of them, including me. I was critical. Shout out to Sue Thomas. Sue Thomas is commenting. She's watching live. She says hello. And shout out to Nazira Khan. Good morning, all my friends. I'm assuming that she is somewhere overseas because it is not morning right here. Right now, it is 6:40 p.m. in California local time. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on todayscalifornia.com. I am Barry Long, your host. Now, Yes. So America came out with a dominant performance. And if you watch the game, it was exciting. I had my popcorn, I had my soda. I was really into the game. It was kind of like the NBA finals for me. And I was very excited to watch this game because we're not having a lot of sports on right now. The NBA finals just ended, although the NBA is coming back in 10 weeks. So, and then we have NFL football coming up in 1 month from today. So, but I was excited to watch this game. I sat down and, it got kind of close. France was able to cut it to 3 at one point to a one possession game. They weren't able to come out after that and sustain a run that we put on from America. We put on a 9-0 run, and we just took the game over from there. Rudy Gobert, who plays for the Utah Jazz, and if you remember when all this COVID stuff happened, he's a French player, okay? When all this COVID stuff happened, and before the NBA shut down, before any of the other leagues shut down, he was in a press conference, and he was touching all the different mics, and he was kind of joking about COVID when it was a very serious thing overseas. We just hadn't received, all the brunt of it yet in America. We've been seeing it on TV, what's going on in China and Italy, but it hadn't really been a real thing to us. That's a tangible thing to us because the pandemic hadn't gotten here yet. Let's just face it. But he was one that was playing around with the media, and he ended up getting COVID. He ended up being the first player that that tested positive for COVID. And really they shut down the NBA because of him. And it would have happened. It could have been anybody, but it just so happened to be him. And he just so happened to be the idiot who was playing around. But he was there, and he was playing for Team France, and he was very emotional because he played well for his country. And France has 0 gold medals at all in their entire history. So they were very excited, and he wanted to be the one person to bring them, the French gold medal, the first one for the country. They actually fell to America 87-82. It was a glorious day for America. As you can see, Kevin Durant and company, they are very, very happy to put that American flag draped around them. You also saw Bam Adebayo be excited. And you can see the picture right there. French guys really look dejected, really look sad that they lost. But you know what? One thing that stood out to me is if you look at that France jersey right there, Michael Jordan sponsors France. It doesn't even sponsor America. I was a little bit taken away by that. But of course, the Michael Jordan brand is underneath Nike, so technically, it's technically a Nike brand. But yeah, it was just a little bit. It was just weird to me that Michael Jordan. We see that brand, that iconic logo on everything in America. It was just weirdly weird to see it on a different country. But shout out to Michael Jordan. It's a global brand and really big over there in Paris, France. But yeah, shout out to the American team. We came out on top, and I was very excited for us. Now Kevin Durant he's the second American to have 3 gold medals, which is incredible to me. Michael Jordan doesn't have 3 gold medals. Nobody else has 3 gold medals except Kevin Durant and, yes, Carmelo Anthony. In my opinion, we should be calling him Carmelo Anthony because he has 3 gold medals. And he just came to the Lakers, just signed the Lakers. But it's interesting. Carmelo Anthony, he has a national championship when he played with Syracuse as a freshman. He won 3 gold medals, but he's never been an NBA champion. So we're looking out for him to become an NBA champion this year with the Lakers. But shout out to Team USA, and really big shout out to Kevin Durant for putting Team America on his back. And when you look at the coaching staff that they have right there, Jerry Colangelo, who has been the basketball director of operations for Team USA for quite some time. This is his last season helping out with Team USA, and it's probably going to be Greg Popovich's last season coaching for Team USA. So we'll probably see Steve Kerr step into that role, or maybe we'll see another coach that's up and coming really come up and step up into that role. But yeah, Greg Popovich he looked like this is his last Olympics. This is the last one. Now, also who might be their last Olympics, Sue Bird. She looks like she might have her last Olympics. But if you watch the females, they were on the very next night. The females in the gold medal game against Japan, it wasn't really a game. They dominated from start to finish. And really, I mean, if you just watched that game, you just saw how dominant we are inside with the size that we have in America, with Asia Wilson and Breonna Stewart and Brittany Griner, who I think could play with the men. We just really were too much for them. Japan had a really nice outside shooting game, but we were just really way too much for them. Shout out to everyone who is tuning in right now. We got a lot of people that are commenting live on Facebook. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on Today'sCalifornia.com. This is Barry Long the second, and this is Going Long with Barry Long. This is Go Long Live. And we are talking some NFL right now. Now let's jump right into what we had last night. We saw some of the Hall of Fame speeches that were, some of the Hall of Fame inductees that were inducted last night. Now, they inducted two classes into the Hall of Fame. They had to induct the 2020 class as well as the 2021 class because if you remember when COVID happened, we lost, we lost the entire preseason. We lost the Hall of Fame game. We lost just a lot of different things. So COVID had us, we had players that missed games. We had games rescheduled. So COVID was just a really weird year. But yeah, we had some really good guys that were interacted and inducted into the Hall of Fame. You had Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson. You had a guy like Charles Woodson, who was one of the most gifted defensive players we've ever seen. Won the Heisman as a defensive player. You had guys like Alan Faneca. You had Drew Pearson, Tom Flores. But then you had guys from the year before, Jimmy Johnson, and you had Bill Cowher, who was the longtime Steelers coach. Troy Polamalu, who's a longtime Steeler. I'm a Ravens fan. I can't stand Troy Polamalu, but what he is he was amazing on the NFL field. But yeah, these guys were inducted in the Hall of Fame. And yes, preseason is back. We are now in the preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game last week on Thursday night, which is exciting, but really nothing to report when it comes to preseason because it's just the backups and guys fighting for a roster spot who probably aren't really going to play when it comes time for the regular season. But it is exciting to see football on TV. We are going to have NFL football 1 month from today. Now, today is August 9th. We are going to have NFL football on September 9th at 5:20 p.m. My time, 8 o'clock p.m. if you're on the East Coast. It's going to be on NBC. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That should be a very exciting game that we will see. Now, before we get into this AFC East preview, all you fans who are fans of the Buffalo Bills, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Jets, if you are... May God be with you if you're a Jets fan. But we are going to talk about your division here coming up shortly. So make sure you stay tuned. This is Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. Don't forget the 2. I'm not the first. I'm not the third. I am the second. And we are talking some NFL news right now. Now, some really, crazy news out of the Baltimore Ravens camp. Lamar Jackson. I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. Shout out to all my Ravens fans and all my family in Baltimore. Now, Lamar Jackson, he has tested positive for COVID twice now since the pandemic began. He tested positive a few weeks ago, and he was out, but now he has just come back to camp. And he is saying that he is iffy on getting the vaccine right now after testing positive twice. Now, I know you get antibodies whenever you test positive for COVID. But, yeah, he missed some of last season with COVID. And it kind of threw him off, throughout. It was in the middle of the season, and it kind of threw him off for a couple of weeks prior to him, recovering from COVID, because they say it takes you a while to recover from COVID. I've never had it. I have been vaccinated, but even before I was vaccinated, I never tested positive for it. But yeah, he's saying that he's still iffy on getting the vaccine. And I know a lot of people are iffy right now on getting the vaccine. I'm fully vaccinated. Shout out to Moderna. I know it's a personal choice, but they got this Delta variant going around, and then they got this Delta Plus variant, and then they got the Lambda variant. COVID just keeps dropping remixes left and right. So, I don't want to know what the next remix is going to be that COVID drops, but it is just ridiculous. It seems like we cannot get away from this. So I'm not here to tell you whether you should be vaccinated or not, but the NFL is certainly going to. They look like they're headed towards mandating these vaccines. They've already started mandating vaccines in certain places. I know in Palm Springs, they just passed that you have to be vaccinated or show a negative COVID test within the last 72 hours just to go to a bar or restaurant or dine in. So we might start seeing these mandated vaccines, but we've seen teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are you have to wear a yellow wristband if you're not vaccinated and a red one if you are. So they're like, they're really trying to take this thing serious, but we might see players have to sit down this year because of the vaccination problem with not being vaccinated, or we've seen other cases like Chris Paul, who's been vaccinated and he tested positive for COVID, but he just had a shorter time to sit out. So we might see, some of this stuff that will hinder the NFL season this coming season, but hopefully not. But Lamar Jackson has had COVID and he is now back and iffy about getting vaccinated. Another guy who is back, all you Giants fans, Saquon Barkley is back. Now, we know he went down with a terrible ACL injury, one of the worst injuries that we've seen in a while. Football tends to have a lot of those terrible-looking injuries where they're kind of gruesome when you watch them. But, yeah, this is a guy who came out of Penn State, jumped right into the league, came out. He's a beast. He basically can run any direction, downhill. He can juke. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can jump over defenders. I mean, this guy is incredible. One of the best running backs that we've seen talent-wise. As long as he can be healthy and be on the field, I look for him to be amongst the lead leaders in rushing this season. But yeah, he is very vital to what the Giants want to do. And he is now back and being activated off that PUP list. So we will see Saquon Barkley again this season, and not just in the Campbell's Chunky Soup commercials with his mama. So that should be exciting news for all the Giants fans, and just in general, because he's a joy to watch. He's incredible to watch on Sundays. Also, this guy, Desean Watson, who has been the center of a lot of controversy this season. We know he's got the 22 women that are accusing him of sexual misconduct. No criminal charges whatsoever yet, but he does have civil charges. He does have a looming suspension hanging over his head from Roger Goodell. And we know what these NFL suspensions are like. I mean, it's almost like they're just rolling dice up there at the headquarters. It's almost like, okay, he got a DUI. Let's roll the dice. Oh, he gets 2 games. Oh, he got a rape charge. Let's roll the dice. He gets 3 games. Oh, he got PEDs. Let's roll the dice. 18 games. It's almost like it's just there seems like there's no like mandatory sentencing guidelines for any of these offenses that these NFL players do. So we don't know what's going to happen. This guy can sit out an entire season. He can sit out 2 to 6 games. Who knows? But we do know that he has some controversy surrounding him. He wants to be traded. He does not want to be in the Texans uniform. The Texans, they want to do everything they can to keep him. I mean, he is the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He when healthy and when focused and when engaged, he is one of the best. But we know that they're just a mess right now, and he wants out, and we might see him get traded. But what he did was he sat out for 5 days. I told you last week that there are reports out of Texas training camp that he is just doing whatever the hell he wants to do. So reports are he sat out for 5 straight days. Didn't want to participate just because he didn't want to. He doesn't have to. But then he now is back in camp and back practicing. So we could see this drama going all season long. We might see him playing some games. We might see him playing no games. I don't think he'll play a game in a Houston's uniform this season. I just think that it's just going to be a continuous hot mess until they are able to find a trade partner. But who wants to trade for a quarterback who's being accused of sexual misconduct for 22 women and obviously has a massage therapist problem because he's out here saying, oh, well, I got 18 women that said they gave me massages and I didn't do anything wrong. Well, why do you have that many massage therapists? So I don't know, but he is definitely a great leader on the field, a great leader in the huddle. He is one of the best players in the league when healthy and engaged. But it could be a while before we see him step on the NFL field to play an actual game. It'll be interesting to see because after all that he's been through with Houston and going back and forth with that front office and going back and forth with ownership, if all that he's been through, if we see him step out and play for Houston, that'll be insane. But that definitely could happen this season. You are watching Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long the second. We've got some comments. We got Cena Hodges. She says hello from LA. Shout out to you, Cena. How you doing? We are live here in Indio, California, and where Coachella Fest happens, where they have the BNP Paribas. This is a very good spot. It's hot right now, so if you're thinking about coming out here, you might want to pump the brakes. It's about 110 degrees out here on average. All right, so let's look at this meme because I talked about it. Now the NFL, this is the meme of the day. The NFL had the Hall of Fame induction speeches last night. Now they say Pro Football Hall of Fame did Peyton Manning dirty with his bust. Now they have always tried to joke Peyton Manning about having a big forehead. They say he doesn't have a 4-head. They say he has a 5-head. But that is obviously clearly not what the NFL did. There have been some terrible posts, some terrible statues in the past that that just did not look like whoever the athlete they were trying to portray looked like. I remember Messi didn't even look like Messi. He just looked like a hot mess. But yeah, Peyton Manning, obviously they did not do his statue like that last night. Obviously the head is much smaller. He looks like a cone head right there. But yeah, they definitely did my man dirty with that meme. So we are going to talk some AFC East. Now, if you're an AFC East fan, I go from worst to first in these divisions. I've been breaking them down. I've broken down all the rest of the AFC divisions. I've broken down the AFC North. I picked the Ravens to win that division. Surprise. I picked the in the AFC West, I picked the Chiefs. That's not a surprise. And in the AFC South, I picked the Tennessee Titans to win that division. So I'm starting with the worst. And yes, New York Jets, you are the worst. I'm so sorry. It's been a long drawn out drought for this Jets team, this Jets franchise. I know a few guys who are diehard Jets fans. A guy with a tattoo on his on his thigh, which is a weird place to put a tattoo of your football team. But I mean, teach his own. But yeah, it's like, why would you get a Jets tattoo, bro? You should have already changed your team to the Giants. If you're from New York, change your team. If you're from the New Jersey area, I get it. But the Jets, it's been a long time since they've been winning. They were in the AFC Championship a few years ago with Coach Rex Ryan, but those days are long gone. Now they have a new head coach. They had to get rid of Adam Gase, the crazy eyes guy. They got a new coach who looks like a really good leader. He's been a great defensive coordinator for years in this league, Robert Saleh. We should see a defensive-minded team. He gets the most out of his players. You can see the great relationship that he had on the team with some of those players from the 49ers defense. Now, they do have a new quarterback in Zach Wilson from BYU. Zach Wilson has been wowing people since he stepped on the field at the Combine. They say he makes these incredible throws. They try to compare him to Pat Mahomes, and damn well that's terrible. Ain't nobody Pat Mahomes. But they said that he can make some of those kind of weird body angle throws, those long throws dropping right in the bucket. So we should see some flashes of greatness from Zach Wilson, because if you go back and you look at some of his YouTube videos, he did look pretty good. But you go back and watch some of his combine throws, he looked really good. But at the end of the day, this is the NFL, and it's a whole different league when you got those linebackers, those 300-pound guys breathing down your neck. So we're going to see, with the 29th ranked O-line last year, it's going to be a long season for Zach Wilson. He's going to have to be running and throwing from different body angles and all type of stuff. But they did try to go out and address the O-line in the draft. They're really weak at the running back position. The best receiver is Corey Davis and Crowder. So it's going to be a long season offensively for them. I think the defense will probably be their strong point. They bring back C.J. Mosley. They got Sheldon Rankins. So they've got a little bit of good things to look forward to towards the future. And hopefully we'll see Zach Wilson, and he'll make some great throws, and he'll have some flashes of greatness. And Robert Saleh can get the best out of this defense. But yeah, and start to build a culture in this franchise that's kind of like the culture they had with Rex Ryan. It was a defensive-minded team. They were going out and getting players. They were hitting people. They just didn't have that quarterback in Mark Sanchez to get him over the hump. Although they didn't have a lot of weapons for Mark Sanchez. So, but we'll see. I think Zach Wilson has a chance to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league moving forward. It's just going to be a long season for the New York Jets, and you will finish in fourth this season. I am sorry, Jets fans. Number 3, I got the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to be the third team to finish in this division under head coach Brian Flores, who really did turn the tide and really is kind of instilling a culture. Of course, we know he came out of New England, and that's the place where culture gets instilled in you the most. You do it the Patriot way or no way at all. And Brian Flores has brought that town to Miami, and it's a hard place to get players to play hard. It's a very hard place to get players to focus because of all the nightlife and the South Beach and all the stuff that comes along with going and playing in Miami. They have Tua Tagovailoa, who is now it's about to be put up or shut up time. We want to see whether or not he's going to be able to really to take that next step as the quarterback for this franchise. I think that if he doesn't have a great season this year, then we'll see him go elsewhere, and they won't give him that big contract that he's looking for. But they did bring in Jacoby Brissett to back him up. Jacoby Brissett has a relationship with Brian Flores because they were both together in the New England franchise. So if Tua does get hurt, and we've known him to be injury prone since before college, if he does get hurt, Jacoby Brissett will still, he'll still hold the tide down. He'll still hold it down. I don't think that they'll be better than 8-9, 9-8 this season. I think that they'll finish third in this division. It is a tough division when you consider what New England brings to the table and what the Bills bring to the table. But I do think that they added some weapons. They got Devontae Parker already. They're going to add. They added Will Fuller from free agency. They went out and they drafted Jalen Waddle from Alabama. Those are some really good weapons. We just need to see if Tua is going to be able to take that next step. They had Xavier Howard on the defensive side. He was upset. They went ahead to take care of him. So he's going to be happy. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league when healthy. So we should see some good things from the Dolphins. But the real question is, will Tua Tagovailoa be their quarterback, their franchise quarterback moving forward? So that's the biggest question mark for me. But I got them third in the division. Now, second in the division. Yes, I know this is hard for some of you Patriots fans because you've been so used to winning over the years. I mean, you had Tom Brady, you had Bill Belichick, and it was just that was just the way it was. It was a well-oiled machine. And now you got Cam Newton, and you struggled last season. Of course, we know Cam Newton had his issues with COVID, and he really didn't look the same after he came back from COVID. And he also had some issues with the shoulder, that injury that he's had, the foot injury, the lingering foot injury he's had. So we haven't really seen Cam Newton be the same Cam Newton that he was in 2015 when he was the MVP and took that Carolina Panthers team to the Super Bowl, and they lost to Denver. But he was dabbing all over the place and handing out footballs to little kids. That was a fun season. That was fun to watch Cam Newton like that. We haven't seen that Cam Newton back since that year. And I think that this year they will look a little bit better than they did last year. They had the number 4th offensive line last year, so they're gonna be able to protect him like he hasn't had protection before in the past. They got Mac Jones, who they drafted in the first round. Now, will we see Mac Jones? I don't think we'll see Mac Jones to start the year. I think that Bill Belichick has been very, 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 very confident in his answer that Cam Newton is going to be the starter this season. We might see Mac Jones because Cam Newton has been injury prone too. We might see Mac Jones this season, but I expect Cam Newton to be their starting moving forward. Now, we know that the Patriots also struggled last season because they had a lot of COVID opt-outs. Hightower, he opted out. Yeah, Pat Chung opted out. A few other guys opted out. So all those guys are going to be playing this year. They're going to be added to that roster. They picked up Nelson Aguilar out of Oakland. We want to see N'Keal Harry take that extra step, but they have been devoid of weapons, and that was really their problem last season. And I really don't think Aguilar adding him to the mix is going to get them over the hump and beating Buffalo this season. So I really don't see that happening. The defensive side, the defense is really good. They are a stout defense. They got Devin McCourty and Stephon Gilmore in that backfield and that secondary. And they really hold it down back there. They added Matt Judon from the Ravens for pass rushing. They needed a little bit of help with the pass rushing. That should shore them up there. I see their defense being really good this season. And the defense is probably going to be the reason why they are the second team in this division. But I just do not see anybody in this team catching the daunted Buffalo Bills. Yes, the Buffalo Bills will win this division, this AFC East this season. With the quarterback Josh Allen finally getting paid. He got a 6-year, $258 million contract. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. That'll buy a whole lot of Buffalo wings. But yeah, I see him just continuing what he's been doing on the last 2 years. He's just been putting it together, and they've been putting pieces around him like Singletary. They gave him Stephon Diggs. Of course, he's got Cole Beasley in the slot. They added Emmanuel Sanders from the Saints last year. That'll be another weapon, another deep ball threat. So I just see another veteran presence in the locker room. So I just see this team continuing their trend of being great. They have a great defense led by Ed Oliver and Tremaine Edmonds. They got one of the best cornerbacks in the league in Tre'Davious White. So they are going to be a great team this season, and they definitely proved it last year with their ability to go out and defeat Baltimore the way they did. And they put up a game against Kansas City, but a lot of us didn't even expect them to be there last year. But I think this season we can expect the Buffalo Bills to be in the maybe in the AFC Championship. They are that good and they are that stacked. And I love what Leslie Frazier's been doing. I love what Sean McDermott's been doing. And I just feel like it's a great franchise. It's a great fan base. And who doesn't want to see the Buffalo Bills, in the playoffs with that crazy, with the Bills Mafia, with the way they jump off the chairs and they crash into each other, and they do all these wrestling moves. So yeah, I think that this is going to be one of the best teams in the NFL this season, and it should be interesting to see how far they could go. Now we are Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long the second. Live on CoachellaValley.com, live on today'scalifornia.com. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Shout out to Alex Perez. He says hi. Hi, Alex. And I thank you to everybody who's liked the page and to everybody who's been sharing the post. We will be back on Wednesday with a breakdown of some more of the NFL. We're going to start heading over to the NFC. So if you're an NFC team, then next week is going to be all about you. But remember, man, FMI, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired. And remember, you're